everyone. I'm Dune Gibbs, the director of Brookhaven National Laboratory. I'm joined by Stuart Henderson, the director of Jefferson Laboratory in Virginia. He's joining us virtually. It's our great pleasure to welcome you to the launching of the Electron-Ion Collider project, also known as the EIC. While the EIC will be located at Brookhaven, Jefferson Lab is a major partner in the construction and the operation of the facility. This partnership has been close for years, and we are looking forward to having it grow in the years ahead. We're delighted to be working together. Safety is a core value at both of our labs. This event is being held outdoors under a tent. It's limited to less than 50 participants, all of whom are masked and respecting social distancing. Inclusion, diversity, and equity is also a core value at both of our laboratories. ID&E is a crucial element of solving the challenging problems the nation faces looking ahead. The EIC project will respect both safety and ID&E. There are many important guests here today and on video. Firstly, it's a great honor to recognize the U.S. Department of Energy, the sponsor of the EIC. Paul Debar, the Undersecretary for Science, is here. Paul has been a key science supporter during his 3 years at DOE. Thank you, Paul. And profound thanks to the Department of Energy, including Chris Fall, Tim Holman, and Joanne Gillow. We're very excited that Senator Chuck Schumer is here today. I'll introduce him in a minute just to speak. We're delighted also to welcome Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, together with Eric Gertler, who is the CEO of the Empire State Development Corporation, and Howard Zemsky, the former CEO of ESD, now Chairman Emeritus. The Lieutenant Governor and Howard will each speak right after Senator Schumer. We're delighted also that Congressman Zeldin from the 1st Congressional District is here. He'll speak after the LG and Howard. Representing Brookhaven Science Associates, the managers of Brookhaven Lab, Maury McInnis from Stony Brook University, together with Lou Von Thaer, the CEO of Battelle, and Ron Townsend, the Executive Vice President. President McInnis will speak briefly on behalf of BSA. We are going to see short videos from Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York and also Mark Warner from Virginia. I just mentioned the partnership between Brookhaven and Jefferson Lab a second ago. It's also important for the two states, New York and Virginia, to work together to bring the EIC forward. We're delighted that Senator Warner is appearing with us virtually today. Also from New York State, Senator Todd Kaminsky and Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone will have short videos. It's always a pleasure to acknowledge Kevin Law, the CEO of the Long Island Association. Kevin plays a crucial role in the economic health of Long Island, and we appreciate his support. I'm also excited to show a brief video today from Fabiola Giannotti. She is the Director General of CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, on her perspective of the EIC and the collaboration that we will see internationally going forward. Finally, Rolf Ent from Jefferson Lab and Kathy Cutler and Diane Hatton from Brookhaven will briefly describe the EIC Science, some applications, and the project. So that's the lineup for today. I am delighted now to introduce Senator Chuck Schumer. Chuck has been a steadfast supporter of the Office of Science, Brookhaven, the Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider, and especially the EIC over the last 22 years. He's been engaged in every issue, every project, every year, and shown a remarkable commitment to science and to the laboratory. We wouldn't be in the position we're in here today without his long-term support. We are honored to welcome Senator Chuck Schumer. Chuck?
Well, thank you very much, Dune. There are so many things I love about Brookhaven, but one of them is it's the place where, for the first time in my life, I met someone whose first name was Dune. Are there any Dune Juniors or Dune the Thirds?
There is another Dune. Diane Arbus's daughter is named Dune.
There you go. Okay. And it's D-O-O-N, not D-U-N-E. I would like the record to show. So this is a great and wonderful day for Brookhaven, for Stony Brook, for Long Island, for New York, for Virginia, for America, and for science. It is a great day for all those things all coming together. There is no better reason to get together, even with COVID raging, than the construction of the Electron-Ion Collider here at Brookhaven on Long Island. First, I want to congratulate a number of people, to everyone at BNL who made today a reality. A shout out to Dune Gibbs. He has been an amazing leader at this laboratory, and he is always pushing science, the merits, and getting the kinds of resources that the federal government provides to BNL. And he's been a great partner, and he always does it with grace and with a smile. The second person I want to mention is somebody who has really moved and advanced science and the science in the Department of Energy forward in this country under difficult times. And he and I collaborated long and hard to make sure that a decision was made on the merits. Paul Debar, the undersecretary you'll hear from, is an unsung hero of bringing this lab to fruition, not just the location of it, but the fact that we have it. It's an expensive proposition. It's right at the cutting edge of science, but it's hard in these difficult times and budget-cutting times to get it done. But his mission was great, and he deserves our thanks, and really a round of applause for Paul and everything he has done. I want to thank Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Hochul, and the state for the role that they have played here, helping us with state resources so the federal government knew that we'd have skin in the game. Thank you very much. I want to thank Maureen McInnis in Stony Brook, which has been a great partner. Some of the great science that occurs at Stony Brook is augmented and collaborated with and enhanced by BNL, and it's been a great partnership for all the years that I have been senator and worked hard. I want to thank all of my colleagues in Washington, Mark Warner, who is worked hard for Jefferson Labs, and it's a great collaboration, and Congressman Zeldin, who's with us today. So it's to all of you who have played such a monumental role in this great happening, congratulations. Now officially, for the general public, this is called the EIC, the Electron-Ion Collider. It's semi-officially called a particle accelerator. But to you non-scientists out there, it's simply called an atom smasher. It will be the most advanced atom smasher in the world, and it will create new frontiers for science in every way. This has been a hard year for all of us, but one of the silver linings for me personally is knowing that the over $2 billion investment will continue to attract the world's best and brightest minds to Long Island for generations to come. This EIC puts Long Island at the center of science, not just in New York and not just in America, but in the world. The greatest scientists from around the world will come right here to Brookhaven because of the EIC. And let's not forget, thousands of good-paying construction jobs will be created to build this massive and important project. So there's an equation here. Science, science, science equals jobs, jobs, jobs. Of the construction people when it's being built, and of then all the scientists and others who will come to this lab and stay in our hotels and eat in our restaurants and maybe even start up companies because this lab is right here. So, and of course, it will keep BNL in the United States of America at the forefront of global nuclear physics research. Now, we spent a lot of time. I remember when Sam Stanley and Dune came to visit me, even before the project was announced or let off the ground, before the competition began, and said, "We have to get this, but don't tell anybody yet." And we worked and worked and worked. We did a little maneuvering to make sure that the decision was made on the merits, not on politics. Brookhaven was the best place for this for the EIC because it already had the RIC, the relativistic heavy ion collider, and the light source, the National Synchrotron Light Source. And that made us the best place to get it. But that didn't mean that other states and other entities wouldn't want to try to get it for them. So my job really was to be the blocker to prevent the politics from interfering. But that took a lot of maneuvering because on the merits, this was right. And all these machines I used to call, and I want to acknowledge one other man. He's not here, but he got me involved in Brookhaven and all this science right after I became senator, and that is Jim Simons, who has been sort of a guardian angel for science, not just here at Brookhaven, but in the country, always pushing for more money for the Department of Energy and all of that. So we finally got the merits to prevail. We got the secretary to have the higher-ups understand, the undersecretary, how important this was to science and to the United States to have our leadership, and here we are, in partnership with the renowned scientists at Jefferson, and it will keep America #1 in deep, fundamental scientific research. And what we've learned over the decades, when we do deep and pure research, it spins off all kinds of practical jobs that you couldn't even expect or foretell. So this is a great job creator in a lot of different ways. America's research it will enhance America's research into the fundamental, into the necessary, into the extraordinary things that particle physics can and will teach the world based off work done right here. So it's brighter than ever. So, you know, what this machine does is it smashes electrons into protons, neutrons, and other things. Electrons very little and hard to smash. That's about all I can tell you about it. I'll leave it to the scientists to tell you more. But I have an example, a picture of what this will do, okay? God bless my staff. These are two particles. When they smash into each other, what does it create? Long Island jobs. It's a great day for Long Island. Thank you very much, everybody. Okay. Yes, right. I'm going to see you. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, say hello to the other guy.
I will. Thank you, Chuck. I'm delighted now to introduce and welcome Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul. The support of Brookhaven Lab by New York State is unparalleled in the DOE complex, and it's a major strength. Our relationship with the state has continued to grow over the last 10 years under Governor Cuomo's and Lieutenant Governor Hochul's leadership as we and other science, technology, and educational institutions grow the innovation zone on Long Island. Among other interests, I have to say, Kathy is also committed to STEM education in New York and promoting women in science. We're really honored to have you here today. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Dune, and anybody who wants to survive in New York State knows that when Dune Gibbs calls, you always answer with the answer yes. And so you have been a driving force behind so much innovation that we're proud of as New Yorkers here. So Dune, thank you for this event. I also remember I was a brand new lieutenant governor, and he asked me to be a keynote at the International Conference of Synchrotron Radiation Instrumentation. Sure, that rolls off the tongue real easily. So I'm speaking to a room full of about 3,000 smartest people on this planet, and all I could say was, you know, I used to watch Star Trek, and I really love the idea of teleportation, and if you can work on that, it'll make my job traveling around the state a lot easier. So I was just touching base to see how they're making out with that simple request that I had. So always love to come here and to extend Governor Cuomo my appreciation for the innovation that occurs here, the brilliance that occurs here, and the way that you're actually doing something that we in politics think about a lot. We think about in politics how to accomplish the art of the possible. You come here and dream the art of the impossible, and that impresses all of us as you take us to new levels and continue this innovation economy, not just here on Long Island, but throughout the state of New York. Always great to not follow Senator Schumer, because I don't have any toys to show you, but I have a feeling those are going to end up in the hands of the grandson that he's very proud of tonight. So I know there's a dual use for his little props here today. But also, Congressman Zeldin, thank you for joining us today. Howard Zemsky, we travel together quite often. He is now Chair Emeritus, which I guess sounds really even more important, Howard, so congratulations on that title. That's like, wow, that's really up there, Chair Emeritus. Congratulations, and thank you for all the work you've done. But our current chairman, CEO of Empire State Development, Eric Gertler, is with us here today, who I just had a great conversation with about how we can continue to do even more collaborations with this phenomenal institution. Also, I want to thank the Undersecretary, and I'm going to call him the Secretary, because in our eyes, you are the Secretary. You are a New Yorker. Paul Debar, I thank you for believing in your home state and allowing this opportunity to show the rest of the world what we're made of here in New York. And I love the fact that this is coming to our state in collaboration with the state of Virginia. I have a lot of family in Virginia, so I'm okay with that. But to know that someone like yourself understands the dynamics of a state like New York and his familiarity with New York City in particular, we are beneficiaries of that. So I want to thank you in particular, Undersecretary Paul Debar, for all the great work that you do on behalf of your fellow New Yorkers here. Also, very delighted to meet the new president of Stony Brook. This is going to be a whole new chapter to have a woman leading the helm there. Is Dr. Maureen McInnis. I'm looking forward to spending more time together. We already had a conversation about how we can continue to collaborate to encourage more young women to go into the STEM field. And I've been invited by Dune out here a number of times to talk about what's it going to take. So when I walk through the halls here, no offense to the gentleman, but I see a lot more young women, and this will be something that we're focused on to make sure becomes a reality, as well as encouraging people from underserved communities. There are great jobs and opportunities in the STEM fields. You can get a great education here in New York State and land an incredible job right here at Brookhaven, among many other places here on Long Island, because Long Island is the epicenter of the innovation economy for our state. That is not overstating it, because we have incredible brilliance here, the research and academic partnerships that we have with the state. It's leading to something that I focus on day in and day out, and that is job creation. So a project like this, the Electron-Ion Collider, I know to many it just sounds, that's great, we're going to be at the cutting edge, we're going to lead the nation, lead the world. But just like the senator and the focus of Governor Cuomo is, how many more jobs will be created because of this investment? So we will see a phenomenal return on the $100 million over 6 years that we're investing in this project. And add that to the previous $65 million the state has invested in this facility. We know that this is smart money. We're putting money into a facility, but more than that, we're investing in human capital, giving people not just the construction jobs that will be associated with this, nearly 4,000 construction jobs. My gosh, that's exactly what we need right now. More than ever, we have to get people back to work because we're still hurting. Also, the over 2,500 people that are employed right here on this site, and over 5,000 people who visit every single year and do research. I've met a number of them. So this will continue to catapult Long Island to the leading edge of innovation. I'm proud of that. But I'll also close by saying this. We have been through a horrendous last 7 months. And I want to say that there is one reason why the state of New York can lay claim to now having the lowest infection rate in the nation when it comes to COVID. We went from being the highest to having the last 40 out of 41 days less than 1%. Simple premise. In scientists, we trust. All others, we verify. Science and medicine and looking at the data has led New York State to this place. And we encourage the rest of the nation to do exactly what we did. Listen to the experts, listen to the scientists. The politicians like us do not know all the answers. We lean on scientists, whether it's here at Brookhaven, who are doing innovative research and dealing with COVID as well, or experts from around the globe that have guided the state of New York to the place right now where we can say that we are in a far better place than we were a few months ago. And as a citizen of this state, I continue to thank them for guiding us through some very tumultuous times and literally saving thousands of lives because of the work that they've done and advice they've given us. So to all the scientists, medical professionals, and those who helped us get to this point in the state of New York, on behalf of the governor, I also thank you. So congratulations to all the Brookhaven family. I'm in awe of what you do. I can't always say I understand it, but that's okay. You may not always understand politics, and most people don't, so don't worry about that. But I have such a respect for what you do, an appreciation, and today a huge sense of pride for what we were able to accomplish, bringing this project nowhere else but to the state of New York. And I hope to be here with a shovel. We did a ribbon cutting today, but also back here in the next 9 years when we bring this project to fruition. So congratulations, Dune, and the entire group family here and all the people involved. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm pleased now to introduce Howard Zemsky. Thank you, and see you. A prominent Buffalo businessman and a former CEO of the Empire State Development Corporation, serving from 2015 until last year when he became Chairman Emeritus. ESD is New York State's main economic development arm. During his years as CEO, Howard oversaw a number of major economic development projects, including helping develop a strategic relationship between the lab and New York State. Originally from Long Island, it's a pleasure to welcome Howard back today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dune. Thank you for your comments. I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor, and I just want to say what being Chair Emeritus really means. It just means I'm old. That's really all it means. Today is a magnificent reminder that here in New York, we have recognized that our future as a state, as a people, as an economy, depends on our willingness to invest and believe in the power of scientific truth. And nowhere has New York invested more in innovation and science than on Long Island. $30 million in state support for the neuroscience complex at Cold Spring Harbor, $75 million commitment to the Institute for Discovery and Innovation at Stony Brook, $15 million invested in the cryo-EM facility at Brookhaven National Lab. The facility, completed in July of this year, houses 2 new electron microscopes that allow us to study literally the components of the COVID-19 virus, understand it better, and help inform drug developments. Which brings us really to today. Nothing better symbolizes the power of science and the talent here on Long Island than what we are unveiling at Brookhaven National Laboratory. New York State is proud to be providing $100 million over 6 years in critical infrastructure for this project, in addition to our previous $65 million investment in this prestigious facility, home to multiple Nobel Prize-winning scientists. Some call the new super collider the dream machine. Others think about it as a time machine. Scientists see it as a window into the origins of the universe. And some people here, definitely not me, know it as the way to understand the role of quarks and antiquarks. See, even in subatomic particles, there's opposition to one another. Maybe that's baked into our genetic code or something. And the gluons in the structure of the atom itself. Well, I'll leave the quarks and gluons to the scientists, but here is what I do know. After a national competition, the federal government chose Long Island's proposal above all others to cite the world's first electron-ion collider and the first electron-ion collider built in the United States in decades, bringing $1 billion plus capital investment to this region. Why here? Why to this region? Because of our people. The thousands of world-class scientists already here at Brookhaven, the 20,000 life science workers on Long Island, the 20 great colleges and research facilities, and the extraordinary number of Long Island startups that turn basic science into life-saving innovations every day. The last 7 months were a profound transformational moment in society. There are a lot of lessons to be learned from it. We learned the power of community. We learned how to trust each other. We learned that the most effective weapon in any war is information, and a strategy guided by science and data and fact, clearly and fully communicated. We learned that an even greater respect for people who spend their lives trying to understand the mysteries of the universe, whether researching how diseases spread or the deepest workings of atoms. We learned that by listening to them carefully and making decisions based on facts and on science. It can not only change lives, but it can save lives. And we learned what a gift it is to have the best minds in the world right here in New York State. On behalf of Governor Cuomo, somebody that I have had the pleasure and privilege of working with for the past 10 years, and somebody with an extraordinary record of accomplishment here on Long Island and across the state, I want to thank you for all the work that you have done, and thank you for all the work you will do, and I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Howard. A crucial all-in supporter of the laboratory and of the EIC is Congressman Lee Zeldin from the 1st District. Lee has consistently made the Department of Energy and also Brookhaven Lab a priority and is a frequent visitor to the laboratory. He has officiated at the graduation of many of our intern classes over the years, and he has talked about Brookhaven in a whole variety of venues, from across the local community to the House floor. It really is a pleasure to welcome Lee Zeldin. Thank you very much for your support.
I am so excited to be here. This is a really, really, really big deal. And there are things that we get to do in our day-to-day lives that might be changing the people around us, the community around us. This is a big deal, not just for Long Island and New York and for our country. This is an initiative that is certain to change the world. It's going to change humanity. I've been running around these fields for over 30 years. I've been coming here since elementary school, sneaking on a B&L to play basketball with the janitors in high school and during their lunch breaks. And to be here right now, I am just filled with such tremendous amount of pride for the best of the best, the brightest minds who work here. The history, when you think of the PET scan, the advancements with the MRI working with Stony Brook, and research, Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and so much more. This is the greatest initiative on the planet for nuclear physics, arguably the greatest initiative on the planet for all of science. And it's coming right here to Long Island. It's a big deal for jobs when you're talking about a $2 billion Electron-Ion Collider. It's an even bigger deal when you think of the 20 to 25, 30 years that will follow of the unknowns being discovered on healthcare and technology and national security and so much more. This wouldn't have been possible if not for the leadership of Dune Gibbs and his entire team. on the technicals, on the merits. This was an application that was above and beyond any of its competition. And on top of it, I could tell you every single conversation that I had with Dune Gibbs throughout this entire project, this entire effort, this process, Dune has been 100% focused on making sure that an electron-ion collider gets done. Yes, it was his job to put together the best possible packet for Brookhaven National Lab, but for him, this wasn't a competition. What was most important to Dune and his team was that in the United States of America, that there would be an electron-ion collider that would get built. It just so happens that he put forth an application that was above and beyond on the technicals. The community support, New York State support was critical. And I'm glad the Lieutenant Governor was here. That investment was so important. We have a great Secretary of Energy right now. Dan Brouillette is he's a great friend. He is an amazing patriot and public servant who believes in this mission. And he has a great warrior for science here today with our undersecretary, who has been in my office many times. We've had many conversations on the phone together. I have the privilege of being the co-chair of the National Labs Caucus, and Undersecretary Debar is always there. If you don't know where Undersecretary Debar is at any given moment, I assure you, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, he's doing everything in his power to advance your cause, to advance the DOE's mission, to advance science. And I'll tell you what else he talks a lot about, and I know this is important for the lab: quantum information systems. Maybe the most important word, quantum, that no one's talking about. And once again, Brookhaven National Lab is on the forefront. A shout out to the building trades and all of the workers who will be involved in putting this together. I think it's fantastic. I wish you good luck. To our new president of Stony Brook, who is here. To all of you and everyone watching at home, believing passionately in what's ahead. Filling your hearts and your minds with an unimaginable amount of inspiration and hope for what will be discovered here in the decades to come. I congratulate BNL. I congratulate all of you for what you did to make this possible. It was an honor to do my part to help advocate for your cause. I couldn't be any prouder to be here today. Good luck.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite Kian Jackson up to introduce Paul Debar. Kian is a member of the EIC project and has been at BNL for 5 years. Kian?
Thank you, Dune. I'm very proud to be here today and to be a part of this exciting project. The construction of the Electron-Ion Collider, the EIC, is an incredible collaboration by BNL, by our partner Jefferson Lab, the Department of Energy, New York State, Virginia State, and many institutions here in the United States, as well as all over the world. The EIC represents a great opportunity for all of us, and for the scientists and engineers of the future, to be a part of the development and delivery of critical science. Paul Debar, the US Department of Energy's Undersecretary for Science, has been a champion of the science labs and a regular visitor to Brookhaven since taking on the role in 2017. He spent the early years of his career operating submarine reactors, followed by years in the commercial energy, innovation, and technology industries, and over a decade on a DOE advisory board. He's shown a tremendous interest in our work and in how the DOE labs can apply their facilities and expertise in support of US leadership in science and technology. He's also known by our scientists as asking some of the toughest questions about their research during his visit. Mr. Undersecretary?
Thank you for that introduction. It's wonderful It's wonderful to be here today. Something has been long prepared for by the nuclear physics community around the country and around the world. It's really wonderful to be here with Director Dune Gibbs and Stuart Henderson here also from Jefferson Lab, as well as the presentations that we'll see here from the head of CERN, the New York State government, and obviously the congressional delegation. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, for the $100 million support that the state has made. It was discussed by Howard. The support by New York State is very critical and was very helpful for us to be able to move forward here. I would also like to thank the congressional delegation, Senator Schumer and Congressman Zeldin, for being here today. I've talked with both many, many times about the importance of science and the investment in Brookhaven and across the sciences over the years. As many of you may know, but you may not know, Senator Schumer studied chemistry at Harvard. And while he might be better known for his various leadership roles in New York State and the nation regarding on the political realm, from my experience, Senator Schumer can't stop talking about the importance of investing in science and technology and innovation, both for the love of science, but also for the economic competitiveness for the nation. Congressman Zeldin and I have talked many, many times, and he is a incredibly great supporter of this lab, this area of New York, but overall the sciences and technology for the nation. I'd like to thank Congressman Zeldin for all his support and his passion that he talks about, as we heard here just a little bit ago, about his engagement with Brookhaven since his childhood. There's no better supporter for Brookhaven and this particular project, and we would not be here today without his strong support. So thank you very much, Congressman Zeldin, for your support. This is an exciting day. I'd like to take a step back and discuss the past as well as the future here at Brookhaven. Tonight is Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And the Bible has many stories about the topic of the ending of one year and starting anew. The past right here in New York started some 81 years ago when scientists fleeing the tyranny of Europe identified a threat based on recently discovered physics and called for action. This group included Einstein, Szilard, and Teller, the origins of much of nuclear physics, who got together right down the road from here 81 years ago in 1939 to call for President FDR, another New Yorker, to take action that led to the Manhattan Project. And it is particularly poignant that given this is the Jewish New Year, given that they fled Europe to come to New York because they were at mortal risk given their Jewish background. From that yesteryear, we are opening a new year for physics with this groundbreaking. We've gathered together to launch a project that will have a multi-billion-dollar impact for New York and Virginia and open new frontiers in science, technology, and energy. I'm excited by the Electron-Ion Collider's economic impact that would create over 4,000 high-paying jobs, but I'm also thrilled by the potential of its transformational science. While building this collider will be a significant challenge, and Dune promises it will be on time and on budget, we will be committing to this effort with our international partners, confident that we will make this happen, knowing that the importance of maintaining U.S. leadership in particle physics. This investment will ensure that we remain the world's leader in this vital field for decades to come. The foundation of today's work were laid 110 years ago to the discovery of the atomic nucleus by Rutherford. Some 30 years later, a team led by one of DOE's founders, Enrico Fermi, created the first self-sustaining nuclear reaction. About 30 years after that, the scientists at our SLAC National Lab at Stanford found that the first evidence for quarks, and a few years later, scientists at SLAC and here at Brookhaven independently discovered the charm quark. Just 2 years ago, we dedicated the CBAF facility for nuclear physics at Jefferson Lab, a major partner in today's launch, to study quarks and gluons that make up the protons and neutrons and other subatomic particles that make up visible matter in the universe. I mention this to highlight the fact that the scientists at the Department of Energy have been at the forefront of so many discoveries in nuclear physics. And thanks to the leadership of President Trump, Congress, the Office of Science, and New York State, we've come together to create a one-of-a-kind research facility that was strengthened immeasurably by the collaboration by the scientists from Jefferson Lab and all our national labs and universities in international collaboration. Many thanks to them, and because of them, we're poised to lead. I would like to make a short comment about a potential competing collider in a certain other country. About 18 months ago, I was looking at their website for their proposed EIC. It said, in English, that their communist form of government was superior to democracy. I kid you not, it is what it said. And that they could reach a decision on building their collider, and we could not. That we could not reach agreement on how to move forward and how to fund it. And interestingly, the website which has made that point is now taken down, and we are here today doing this groundbreaking. And while we're on the topic of other government systems and science, individual and intellectual freedom is required for what we do here every day. Without such freedom, there would have been no Shakespeare, no Rousseau, no Newton, no Einstein, no Jobs, and no Musk. Freedom is the foundation of creativity. In the coming years, we'll use the Electron-Ion Collider to explore the fundamental building blocks of matter and how they are arranged, and understand their interactions of the mass that makes up most of the universe, and uncover the secrets of the strongest force of nature. As we venture forward into this new frontier, we'll attract the world's best and brightest scientists, produce scientific and technical advances that extend into medicine and national security, strengthen New York and Virginia as hubs of innovation, and move forward STEM education and the next wave of scientists and engineers in the country. The technological foundations for this effort, such as innovative accelerator technology, particle tracking, and big data components, are already being laid. And what's more, those advances could have a significant impact on things from developing fields, as was mentioned about quantum information technologies, as well as accelerator technologies. As many of you know, Brookhaven National Lab also just won one of the Quantum Information Center technologies, and the base research in particle physics that EIC will move forward was the basis of their qualifications. I'm not doing, are you tired of winning yet between today and a few weeks ago? And once again, from the most basic components of matters to the furthest reaches of the cosmos to the next technology that would drive the economies of the United States and the world, this department, DOE, better coined, I call it the Department of Exploration, will continue that mission right here at Brookhaven and throughout the country. So congratulations again, and thank you very much for having me here today.
Thank you, Paul, and also thank you, Kian. It's my great pleasure now to introduce Stuart Henderson, the director of Jefferson Laboratory, who will make a few remarks about the EIC virtually. As has come through, both laboratories have invested significantly over the last 10 years in developing the ideas for the EIC, both science and technical, and are committed to its success in the best interests of science and technology for the nation. Please welcome my good friend and partner, Stuart Henderson. Stuart?
Thank you, Dune, for the opportunity to be here today virtually to share in this fantastic event. And thanks again to the Department of Energy for their leadership and steadfast support for science. As Dune said, both our labs have a deep and long-standing interest in the scientific discoveries that the Electron-Ion Collider will enable. This partnership offers a tremendous opportunity for Brookhaven National Lab and Jefferson Lab to come together as one team of scientists and engineers to construct the world's most powerful instrument for understanding the atom. In the last century, we've learned how electrons whir around the atomic nucleus and give rise to the properties of the materials that we use to make computer chips, batteries, lasers, and the myriad technologies we rely on today. At the same time, that understanding has helped us to flesh out the details of how atoms combine into molecules and indeed into the building blocks of life. This century-long sweep of scientific discovery was made possible through ever more capable and ingenious scientific instruments. The Electron-Ion Collider is just such an instrument, an electron microscope that will let us peer into the interior of atoms, into the protons and neutrons themselves that make up atoms and all the visible matter in the universe. We all know that nuclei are made of protons and neutrons, but the most fundamental constituents of visible matter, the stuff that lives inside the protons and neutrons, are called quarks and gluons. Quarks are particles held together inside protons by the gluons. Gluon, a little physics joke. And the force that powers these gluons is the strongest known force in the universe. Together, the quarks and gluons make up all of the visible matter that we see around us. But how does all this work? The answer to this question and its underlying details is something that scientists have pursued for the better part of a century. And it's hard to say that we really understand atoms if we're still unable to answer this question. With the EIC, we will be able to look inside nuclei and take 3D images of the mysterious universe of quarks and gluons inside every proton and neutron to finally answer this question. What we learn will have impacts in nuclear physics, but also in other scientific fields, such as high-energy physics, condensed matter physics, and beyond. And as with past scientific instruments, we expect that as we realize the technologies that enable the EIC, there will be other, more immediate benefits. The EIC will maintain U.S. leadership in nuclear science and accelerator science and technology for decades to come, with impacts in U.S. technological, economic, and national security. It will drive the development of new kinds of particle accelerators, detectors, and computational technologies with remarkable applications, such as new accelerator technologies for cancer treatment, radioisotopes for diagnosing, tracking, and treating diseases, new detectors that screen dangerous substances at borders, accelerator technologies for manufacturing and studying new materials, including computer chips, batteries, and drugs, new methods for inspecting and protecting the food supply, new computational tools for big data, and more still to be discovered. It will inspire future scientists and engineers and serve as a training ground for the next generation of scientific leaders. In short, building the EIC will push nuclear science and indeed our understanding of the natural world to the next frontier, expanding opportunities for scientific discovery and technological advances that benefit our nation. At Jefferson Lab, we're excited and proud to partner with Brookhaven and our sister national labs to help realize this next generation facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Pleasure to see you. We're very pleased now to welcome the new Stony Brook University President, Maury McInnis, on her first visit to Brookhaven. As a co-manager of Brookhaven, along with Battelle Memorial Institute, Stony Brook University is a major player in the labs and the EIC's future. Stony Brook researchers represent the largest group of scientific users at our facilities, and President McInnis serves as the co-chair of the Brookhaven Science Associates Board of Directors. The work of our two institutions together with others on Long Island, other institutions on Long Island, is a linchpin of the innovation corridor. Maury?
Well, good afternoon. I could not be more proud to be here today representing Stony Brook University. And two of the things that drew me to this opportunity were the impressive research accomplishments of our faculty and the powerful partnerships, such as the one we share with Brookhaven National Lab, in producing that research. I am especially proud that Stony Brook University, as a partner in Brookhaven Science Associates, has been able to participate in this work over many years. We are grateful for the support of the Department of Energy, that they shared this vision, and the federal resources that are being made available to this project. And we are especially grateful to our congressional delegation and supporters, especially Senator Schumer and Congressman Zeldin. We are also very grateful to Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Hochul, and the leadership of New York State in also investing in the opportunities to continue to drive science and to bring the Electron-Ion Collider to Long Island. Stony Brook has partnered with Battelle Memorial Institute for the past 22 years in managing Brookhaven National Lab for the Department of Energy. It is a privilege and a responsibility that we take very seriously. Battelle is an ideal partner for us, bringing a wealth of experience in working with the Department of Energy to complement our more scientific focus. Together, we are very fortunate to have such an effective leadership team at the lab, and I congratulate Dune Gibbs and his entire team for this remarkable accomplishment. Beyond our management role as a partner in Brookhaven Science Associates, Stony Brook has long enjoyed an important relationship with the lab. Stony Brook and Brookhaven Lab share more than 100 joint appointments, spanning numerous areas directly relevant to the lab's mission. For Stony Brook faculty and for our graduate students and postdocs, this has afforded unparalleled opportunities for collaboration, as well as access to vital facilities, such as the National Synchrotron Light Source, the Center for Functional Nanomaterials, and the Relativistic Heavy Ion Collider. It is no small coincidence, then, that Stony Brook has a long history of leading research in nuclear and high-energy physics. And we are proud that many of our faculty have contributed to the conceptual design and scientific justification for the Electron-Ion Collider. Not long ago, Stony Brook created the Center for Frontiers in Nuclear Science. We also received funding to establish a training program in accelerator physics. Both of these are efforts that we have done in partnership with the lab. Efforts like these help to ensure a crucial pipeline of future scientists and engineers who will be needed to maximize the impact of the EIC. And Stony Brook University, as one of the most diverse leading research universities in this nation, shares a commitment to ensuring equity, diversity, and inclusion in creating this pipeline of future scientists. Stony Brook is also home to 2 energy frontier research centers in energy storage and materials synthesis, and these are also projects where we engage very closely with the lab. We also take great pride in our collaboration in quantum information science, which have helped to place Long Island and New York State among the vanguard in this field. And most recently, we formed a Sustainable Energy Institute as a joint program between Stony Brook and the lab. This will help support the renewable energy vision that Governor Cuomo has created for New York. As president of Stony Brook, I cannot be more thrilled that we are part of this historic occasion, and we so look forward to our continued years of partnership with Brookhaven National Labs, with Jefferson Lab, and with the Department of Energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Maury. Joining us today by video is another advocate for science and its applications for New York State and for Brookhaven. In addition to those interests and many others, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand takes a personal interest in STEM education and, in particular, in the careers of women scientists, much as you just heard from Kathy Hochul. We're lucky to work with both of them. Kirsten?
Hi, everyone. It's Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. I want to congratulate everyone at Brookhaven National Laboratory and the Jefferson Lab in Virginia on the launch of your Electron-Ion Collider project. I know that you all have put a tremendous amount of work into this project. This joint effort, located in our great state of New York, reflects the type of commitment that we as a nation need to make toward the future of scientific research and discovery. Your work to investigate and unlock the secrets of the strongest force in nature will not only help us answer questions about the structure of the universe around us, but will help lead to technologies of tomorrow. This project will keep the United States at the forefront of nuclear physics research, strengthen the local economy, solidify Long Island as one of the country's leading innovation corridors, and create the STEM jobs of the future for generations of New York students. I have no doubt that this project is in the right hands, and I'm looking forward to all of the discoveries that will be coming out of Project Manager Diane Hatton's team. Thank you, stay safe, and I hope to see you all soon.
Thank you, Kirsten. We're particularly honored today also to be joined by video by Senator Mark Warner of Virginia. Senator Warner is a longtime supporter of STEM education, science and technology, including the EIC, and also Jefferson Laboratory. We very much appreciate his joining us today, and we look forward to working with him going forward. Senator Warner?
Hi, I'm Senator Mark Warner. I wish I could be there with you for this historic groundbreaking for the Electron-Ion Collider. I want to congratulate all the folks at Jefferson Laboratories, Jeff Labs, for the great work you guys have done for so long. While technically, I know the collider is going to be located at Brookhaven, I am so proud of the cooperative relationship and agreements that have been broached and the enormously valuable and important work that'll be done at JLab. So for all you've done, for all you will do on this next generation of American scientific discovery and innovation, thank you. I look forward to trying to continue to support your work for many years to come. Again, congratulations, everybody.
Thank you very much, Senator Warner. The Long Island delegation of the New York State Senate has championed the Long Island Innovation Corridor and Brookhaven Lab for years. I'm very pleased that Senator Todd Kaminsky, leader of that state Senate delegation, has joined us on behalf of all of his Long Island Senate colleagues. Senator?
Greetings. I'm Senator Todd Kaminsky, and really proud to be joining you on this momentous occasion. Long Island has established itself as a preeminent region for scientific research, and Brookhaven is in the direct center of that. But there's nothing like the EIC to really lift this region up, and unparalleled scientific breakthroughs are going to come out of this region as they have done for decades, and I'm so excited really to solidify Long Island as the place where exciting and mind-bending breakthroughs are happening. In the state of New York, we really made a commitment to the EIC by declaring that we would make real infrastructure investments to help support it, and we were proud to do that and really knew it was an essential thing we had to do. As important as the EIC is to science and research, it is equally important to the greater Long Island community, to our economy, to our schools, not only to their fiscal health, but to the young scientists who are dreaming in their classrooms of doing amazing things, knowing that the EIC is in their backyard will do wonders to inspire them and propel them. And overall, this is really the future of where Long Island's growth is going to be centered. And it's important, and it was important for us to do everything we could. But really, it's the men and women at Brookhaven who work day in and day out on their research, and those who support it, who deserve this and who earn this. And as my grandmother used to say when giving me a present, I hope you use it in good health. I can't wait to see all the wonders that you will produce. Godspeed and congratulations.
Thank you, Todd. Suffolk County Executive Steve Bellone is a believer in the home team and embraced the laboratory and all of its employees as part of the Suffolk County family. Steve has been a champion for the relocation of the Yaphank Railway Station to Brookhaven Lab, to be renamed the Brookhaven Railway Station, which will be a game changer for Brookhaven as well as for Long Island. Please welcome Steve Ballone.
Hi, I'm Suffolk County Executive Steve Ballone, and I'm excited to help kick off the launch of the Electron-Ion Collider project at Brookhaven National Laboratory. The EIC is the latest in a long line of transformative projects carried out at Brookhaven National Laboratory. The world-class scientists, researchers, and engineers, in addition to broad community support, make Brookhaven National Laboratory the clear choice for this incredible project. The EIC will revolutionize our understanding of atoms and nuclear power. In addition, this project will also be an incredible tool for STEM students who will be involved in both the building of the EIC and the research once it's completed. This will help motivate the next generation of scientists to continue to move society forward through scientific research. The potential benefits of this project are limitless, and there's no better place to do this research than right here on Long Island at this global hub of innovation, Brookhaven National Laboratory.
Thank you, Steve. It's really a great pleasure for me now to introduce the next speaker, Director General at CERN, Fabiola Giannati. As has come out already, the EIC is a major international project and will have a number of important domestic and international partners. The world's largest collider is the Large Hadron Collider at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, the European Center for Particle Physics Research. A number of DOE labs, including both Brookhaven and Jefferson Lab, play significant roles at the LHC, just as we anticipate similar roles for other labs, domestic and international, at the EIC. It really is a pleasure to welcome Fabiola Giannati, CERN's Director General. Fabiola?
Thank you so much for the invitation to take part in the Electron-Ion Collider groundbreaking ceremony. With the approval by DOE of the mission need in December 2019 and the site selection in January this year, the Electron-Ion Collider, a one-of-a-kind facility in nuclear research, is becoming a reality. And I can tell you that this news was received with great enthusiasm and excitement by the European nuclear and particle physics communities. Thanks to its high luminosity, wide range of center of mass energies, and the use of different types of polarized beams, the Electron-Ion Collider will be a unique, exquisite tool to investigate the fundamental constituents of atomic nuclei and the strong force that binds them together. It is expected to elucidate mysteries such as the origin of mass and spin of nucleons, and it will explore kinematic regions complementary to past, existing, and other proposed facilities worldwide. But the EIC will not only produce great science. It will also be a hotbed for advanced accelerator developments and cutting-edge technologies with a huge potential impact on many fields of society, from health and medicine to radiation in space, energy and industry. In addition, such an ambitious world-leading facility will attract and provide a training ground for a new generation of physicists, engineers and technicians. The Electron-Ion Collider will also open great new opportunities for collaboration between the US and Europe and expand our long-standing, strong and very successful partnership. Indeed, studies at the Electron-Ion Collider, which is expected to run concurrently with the high luminosity LHC for several years, will provide crucial understanding of the hadron structure, which in turn will be very useful for the LHC physics measurements. The EIC will also complement the very interesting nuclear physics program at the LHC, which is based on scattering heavy ions or protons of heavy ions to explore nuclear matter. And the vast range of experimental opportunities at both colliders will support the ambitions of nuclear physicists worldwide. Synergies between the Electron-Ion Collider and CERN project in accelerator developments include crab cavities, magnets, ion beams. And these topics, as well as the similarities in the electron beam parameters of the EIC and the possible future E+/- circular collider at CERN, the so-called FCCE, motivate a mutually beneficial collaboration on R&D and beam dynamic studies. Let me conclude on a personal note. It's heartening for me to see that the US has decided to build a new collider for the first time in decades. This is a good sign also for Europe, which in a few years from now will have to decide which future collider will follow the LHC in the 2040s. And it demonstrates once more that colliders are indispensable and irreplaceable microscopes to scrutinize nature at the smallest scales, providing knowledge that cannot be obtained through other means. We therefore look forward to great science from the Electron-Ion Colliders towards the end of the decade, and great collaboration in the years to come between US universities and labs, in particular Brookhaven National Lab and Jefferson Lab, and CERN and Europe, on the superb physics and technologies that such a unique facility will produce.
Thank you, Fabiola. The next three talks will concern the EIC itself, specifically discussing the science, the applications, and the project, and they will close our program. Rolf Ent is the Associate Director for Experimental Nuclear Physics at Jefferson Lab. He's going to talk about some of the science an EIC will enable. Rolf?
Everything we see in the universe is made up of atoms, with protons and neutrons at their core encircled at large distance by a cloud of electrons. This structure of localized centers and vast open spaces applies to most known matter, to atomic and molecular matter, and to the world too, with the cities you see around you often surrounded by vast open country. Not so in nuclear matter. Deep inside us, inside our own nuclear matter, everything is in motion, appearing and disappearing at the subatomic quantum level and moving around at close to the speed of light. Any structures there arise primarily from the interactions of quarks and gluons. These quark-gluon interactions form the particles that we call hadrons. Hadrons include the familiar protons and neutrons, but also a whole array of other particles made of quarks and gluons. As such, the properties of all hadrons and those localized centers inside atoms emerge primarily from complex interactions. A striking example, when you stand on your bathroom scale, you probably do not realize that most of your weight, or your mass, is due to the interactions of massless gluons and almost massless quarks inside your very own nuclear matter. We continue to learn more about the structure of nuclear matter. Consider our knowledge of atomic and molecular structure, which were understood in the 1800s as ordered crystals categorized into the Mendeleev periodic table of the elements, 1869. The advent of X-ray diffraction a century ago triggered tremendous progress in visualizing and understanding these structures. X-ray diffraction first proved that the nuclear charge is identical to the place of each element in the periodic table, and subsequently led to discovery of the double helix structure of DNA in 1953, and much more, a new science. Hadron and nuclear structure are by now also very well categorized. We have good understanding of the so-called hadron spectrum, which is analogous to a periodic table of particles made of quarks and gluons. Electron and other scattering experiments proved the quark charges needed to form each hadron's charge. But, similarly to the early history of the periodic table, there remain gaps in understanding. What we now need is a versatile tool to systematically map and understand the rich variety of hadron particle structures and herald a new science. The Electron-Ion Collider, or EIC, will revolutionize our understanding of hadron and nuclear structure. This high-precision electron microscope of protons and other ions will enable three-dimensional pictures of the structures at the finest quark-gluon levels, to chart the rapidly moving gluon oceans, anti-quark seas, and quark continents. The EIC will allow scientists to understand the origin of mass and spin of hadrons. It will help us to understand the quark-gluon origin of the nuclear force that binds atomic nuclei and makes a multitude of chemical elements. And it will enable us to discover new, unexpected properties of systems dense and teeming with gluons. The EIC is the tool that will provide nuclear science with an understanding of the internal structure of the proton and more complex atomic nuclei that is comparable to our knowledge and understanding of the elements. It lies at the heart of modern technologies. Imagine what new technologies await when we gain a better understanding of nuclear matter's innermost structures with EIC.
Thank you, Rolf. Beyond the scientific discoveries and a new frontier of fundamental physics, building the EIC will also trigger broader benefits for society. You heard some of those from Stuart Henderson earlier. Kathy Cutler is the director of Brookhaven's Medical Isotope Research Program. She'll tell you about another that will be synergistic with the EIC accelerator, specifically the ability to produce and conduct studies on crucial medical isotopes. Kathy?
Excuse me. Welcome, honorable guest and distinguished colleagues. It is really an honor today to talk to you about the impact that the DOE has had on the medical field, particularly in the creation of what we call nuclear medicine, and what the future impacts of the EIC will be on the medical field and the quality of life of patients. A hidden secret for most is that the impacts the Department of Energy has had in developing tools that have gone on to impact most of us in the medical field. From the cameras that are used to diagnose heart disease, to the ability to diagnose PTSD in soldiers, and the future looking at metastatic disease, so physicians are informed at how best to treat this. And it's an honor to have this new application here so that we can look at the development of new isotopes to move from imaging into therapy. The same unique machines that they use to produce the particles that they bombard to learn more about the microcosm of the nucleus are the machines that we use to bombard targets to produce radioisotopes. Developing these new tools to look at the ion collider will enable us with new capabilities to produce radioisotopes that we will move into treatment for patients. The Department of Energy has been a long history of producing radioisotopes and have produced most of those that are used in the nuclear medicine field. The isotope that is used 80% of the time for imaging was actually developed and invented here at Brookhaven National Laboratory. And last year we celebrated its 60th anniversary. In the future, what we are working on is moving into therapeutic isotopes, particularly for patients who have metastatic disease and have little to no options. There are isotopes that we can produce with the new tools that will be used for the Electron-Ion Collider that deliver higher doses to tumor cells and much lower toxicity to normal cells. And in the small amounts that we have currently in preclinical trials and early clinical studies, they have shown complete responses. The tools that the Electron-Ion Collider will bring will enable us to look at developing these further into quantities that will allow further clinical trials and looking at treating these metastatic cancers and possibly leading to future treatments that will impact patients around the world. And so for this, I thank you all for your efforts in bringing the Electron Collider here and helping to further our mission in the Department of Energy to develop these new tools that will allow patients to have treatments where there are none and to have an improved quality of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Finally, planning and constructing the EIC will be a massive, decade-long undertaking, costing between $1.6 and $2.6 billion. Diane Hatton, the EIC project manager, brings over 30 years of experience, laboratory experience, to her position, including 10 years as a senior leader at the National Synchrotron Light Source. Diane?
Thank you, Dune, and everyone joining this celebration here and around the globe. I am absolutely thrilled about the opportunity to serve as the project manager for what will be a world-leading nuclear physics facility. Jim Yeck, the EIC project director, leads a joint Brookhaven-Jefferson Lab management team that is engaging partners from across the country and across the globe. We moved out smartly to put in place a core team of dedicated scientists, engineers, and project support staff. Their enthusiasm, energy, and excitement about their work inspires me every day. As we gather here now, the EIC conceptual design and construction planning work continues. The Department of Energy, Brookhaven Lab, and J-Lab are working together towards the goal of securing the DOE Undersecretary's approval of Critical Decision 1 early in the new year. Last week, we completed our first DOE project status review with 21 external expert reviewers assessing our detailed plans over 3 days. The conclusion? We are on track for moving the project to the next phase. The project will then continue to take shape with a more detailed design and infrastructure planning. Hands-on construction work is planned to start in the next few years and operations in the early part of the next decade. The EIC project will employ 1,000 workers per year during the peak of construction, add $200 million of supporting conventional construction, purchase over 2,000 magnets, and fabricate numerous advanced accelerator and detector technologies and components which will be added to our existing 2-mile tunnel. The project will create significant opportunity for both the state of New York and the state of Virginia. In the end, when we are successful, the EIC will be a flagship nuclear physics facility that enables the worldwide physics community to solve some of the most challenging scientific questions in the field. I am honored to be able to represent our team today, and under the circumstances, extend my congratulations to them in the official launch of the Electron-Ion Collider project. Mr. Undersecretary, given your leadership, commitment to, and support of this project, it is our hope that when we achieve the next major milestone in this journey, we can all be here together to celebrate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. This closes the official EIC launch. On behalf of the Department of Energy, New York State and Virginia, and both Brookhaven Lab and Jefferson Lab, thank you all very much for being here, for your support, and for your interest in the EIC. We look forward to working together with all of you at all levels, federal, state, local, and science, to make it successful in the decades to come. Thank you all very much.